I joined the Marines at 17 after high school instead of going to college. Now, in my professional career, when people hear that, they're usually very surprised. What they don't know is that it was a choice made with more ignorance than actual planning. This video is about how I ended up in that situation and some of what I've learned from that moment in time. Hi, I'm Rick, and welcome to the channel Earned Not Given, where I share my own life experiences and lessons learned as a 50-something child of the 80s. I grew up in the world of the U.S. Air Force, and like many others in military life, we moved constantly. I had to learn to adapt and stay open to constant change in both location and community. It wasn't until 1983, going into my sophomore year of high school, that I finally put down roots in a small steel town in Ohio on the Ohio River. To this day, it's still a close-knit, diverse community where everyone knows everyone. But back then, friend groups were already established. Everyone grew up together, and trying to fit in as an outsider was hard. Eventually, I found my circle, but instead of focusing on school, I focused on fitting in. School wasn't really the priority. Get the C, pass, and move on. Then junior year arrived. Suddenly, everyone was talking about the future. GPAs, sports scholarships, colleges. My freshman year was basically a transitional year. My sophomore year was spent just trying to belong. And no one had ever really talked to me about planning what comes next. In that moment, GPA didn't mean grade point average. It meant great planning, asshole. Truth is, I don't remember ever having a real conversation about college at home. All of my childhood I spent with an Air Force non-commissioned officer and my mom, who immigrated to the U.S. from the UK, neither of which had gone to college. So it was never really a topic of conversation around the dinner table. I guess I was expected to figure it out on my own. For kids like me with an average grade and no plan, the options were limited. I called them the 3 M's. You either work at the steel mill if you had connections, work at the mall, or join the military. Without hesitation, I chose what I knew best, the military. I took the ASVAB test for the military at the start of junior year and scored really well. That opened the door to recruiter pitches for why they were the best for me. All I knew was that I loved being around planes. But the Air Force felt too been there, done that. The Navy pushed hard for their nuclear program, but submarines and months at sea were not starters for me. The Army offered a path to fly helicopters, but it seemed too far away and too many hurdles, and besides, the Army just seemed way too big. Then came the Marines. They had a tough reputation, sure, but offered something a little more concrete. I had scored high enough to work as an aircraft weapons systems specialist on the F/A-18 Hornet. No warm welcomes, no guarantees, just an opportunity to work around fighters. So on my 16th birthday, my mom signed me into the delayed entry program. And just like that, my future after high school was locked in on my first semester of my junior year. I was set. No more uncertainty, no more stress. So I spent the summer of '85 before leaving the Ohio Valley in true 80s fashion, just like it was 1999. At 17 years old, I left for Parris Island, South Carolina on September 12, 1985. My only priority was surviving the next 3 months of Marine Corps boot camp and let the next chapter begin. Looking back, I can see that despite being a victim of my own piss-poor planning, I never really considered throwing myself a pity party and giving up. Something kept me moving forward, always pushing into the unknown to face whatever changes came at me. You see, change is going to happen, whether you want it to or not. What matters is how you react to that change. That's what defines you. We had a term for that in the Marines, Semper Gumby, always flexible. One thing the Marines also taught me was you're either paralyzed by fear or you face it head on and push forward to the next objective. That choice is entirely up to each of us. So all through my life, change has proven constant. In the Marines, my professional career choices, and most importantly, raising kids without screwing them completely up. It's like standing at a crossroad, deciding which path to take when you're lost. Sometimes you pick the right path, sometimes the path picks you. Whatever you do, however, you can't stand at the intersection and do nothing. You have to choose and be ready to respond to that choice in the best way you can. Choices are our commitments, and we need to stand 10 toes down on those. At the same time, you have to be willing to adapt to your approach as required. Semper Gumby. In the end, you may find that you wind up in a better place than you would have ever expected. So if my experience resonates with you or someone you know who might need it, give it a like and a share. Subscribe for honest conversations about work, service, leadership, and life after 50. After all, the lessons that matter most to all of us are earned, not given.